Well, hello and welcome to another edition of 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10. Today is after hours edition. I have my rum and coke here with me. During the day, the office is under construction currently, so I have to use the nighttime, which is not typical for when I shoot my podcast, but here we are. We're a little bit more relaxed today, and I think it's interesting that I picked today in this episode to do this because, well, have a drink, right? Take a drink, or whatever you do to relax, and let's talk about budgets and money. My point today is budgets. Why bother? I mean, you're not going to follow them. Whoever you tell them to is probably not going to listen to you. And even if you do follow them, something's going to come along you think is going to change your life. It's probably not. And you're going to make some silly midterm investment and hope it turns things around, maybe due to a sluggish start, whatever the case might be. So I want to really jump in and talk about it because based on what I do every single day for people, I look at a ton of dealers' budgets month in, month out. And this really isn't just about work. It isn't about budgets. I think it's about personal life as well. When I sold cars, one of the biggest things that I try to work with customers on is, folks, it'll be easier to just give me your budget and let me find vehicles that fit your budget. Now, I realize that's like the cardinal sin of what you're never supposed to do when you buy a car. But here's my point. If you just were honest about what you could afford, it would make it easier for people to put you in cars. Now, do I get that? Don't, as the consumer in the background here, the producer, don't do that. Don't make that face, because here's my point. This is why I'm saying it. Because if you, today, hold on though, because in today's world, you have all the research at your fingertips, right? But what no one really wants to research is how much money they can afford to buy a car with. Okay? People do math like this. $30,000 car, oh, that's divided by 10. I don't know why they divided it by 10, and it's $300 a month. That's not what it costs to buy a $30,000 car. So what I'm saying is just give me the and lie to me. If that would make you happy. Tell me you have a $200 budget when maybe it's really $300, and let's see where we go for you and find out. Okay? Because if people would just be more outright about what they could afford. And I get it. People are concerned they're going to get screwed buying a car if you give someone what you can actually afford based on if you get approved, what the interest rate is. But you can do all of that research. You can come into a dealership pre-approved with a check. If you just make it easier on yourself to understand your affordability, that's going to make things a lot easier. So that's on retail. Okay, you don't agree. There's a lot of things people don't agree with me on. That's fine. But my point is that people can't even talk about it. Money is typically a very difficult discussion for people to have. And so when you look at the dealership level, you look at the monthly investment into advertising. My thing is, and we've talked about it a lot recently, and people have been kind of chiming in left and right on this idea that, do you forecast? Do you look at long-term kind of how the budget has to go? And if so, do you really hold to it, or is it more of a guide? See, I'm pretty black and white when it comes to budgets, because the dude that I started working for when I really hit my stride in this business, it was a blessing and a curse, but he never gave me a budget, which was cool, right? Everyone's like, oh yeah, you can spend unlimited. No, it wasn't like that, because if my department ever lost money, I was fired. So it was sort of like he gave me the autonomy to run the internet department at the time as its own business, and the budget was, don't worry about it, do what you have to, do what's right. So I was really, really tight for the longest time until I understood what worked and I grew into it. One of the biggest things people don't understand is that when you put your money into a big upfront deal, right? Someone just sells you have, whether it's FOMO or shiny object or whatever it is, the mood strikes you to just go and splurge on something. If you have a big time investment up front, you cannot get that money back. So what I implore you to do is that whatever you do, start small. Start small, and if you can truly track success for whatever success means to you versus how you spend your money, if you can really do that, then you can feed the beast, as my girl Monica says up at the Zimbrick Automotive in Madison, Wisconsin. That's where I got that from. The mentality of feed the beast was something that, to me, something I'd always done, but I couldn't really put the wording around it, and it made a lot of sense, because that is how we can truly grow into a product, and then budget really isn't going to be an issue if you see value, right? That's the biggest thing, value and budget. So I really want people to consider that, and more importantly on the dealer side, spend what you can afford. And I know I keep coming back to what people can afford, but when you start overspending, that's when you start having really high, sometimes unrealistic expectations, and that can cause all kinds of other stressors that are really unnecessary for you. So I want you to just kind of take a step back, consider and think, hey, how is this going to be? How is this going to look long term for me if I jump into this right now, because I've already committed money over here? Always look to shift budget, reallocate budget. Try to never create new budget in a given year. And have a plan at the tail end of this year for the beginning of next year. Okay? So thank you for joining me today. It's one of those episodes that I know can make people uncomfortable. I know plenty of people, even in my own house, disagree with me on the retail side, which again, dude, super fine. Like, I take no issue with it. I totally get it. That's just how I roll. I like to be transparent up front with people and understand what it is that I can afford. And if people make a few bucks based on what I can afford, good for you. This is what I can afford. This is how I roll. So.
But to be fair, I'm just saying it goes both ways.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
That's
of course. Okay. So we were wrapping this up till that. Now we are wrapping this up. So as always, you can find me 262-278-0157, the text or call in line. You can also email me, tweet, Facebook, LinkedIn. Remember, wherever you can listen to podcasts, this is available to you without the video, obviously, for our friends that are listening. We do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and have yourselves a wonderful week.